Hey guys, Dave. I'm here at the Mount Rest Cemetery in St. John's, Michigan. That's in Clinton County. And I'm here for the grave of Andrew Philip Kehoe. Andrew Kehoe. And a little bit about him. He was born in 1872 in Michigan. He died May 18th, 1927 in Bath, Michigan. And like I said, he's buried here at Mount Rest Cemetery, about as far away from the rest of the folks as you can possibly get in the cemetery at the time. So he's got an unmarked grave, and I'm a little ways away from his grave, so I'll tell you his story as we walk to it. We'll walk to the cemetery here, and I'll just tell you the story of who he was. In short, he was a mass murderer. He was responsible for a series of bombings made on May 18th, 1927 in Bath Township, Michigan, that killed 44 people, mostly school children, and injuring 58 others. So it's the Bath school bombing is what it's known as. So like I said, he injured 58 others. Basically, it boils down to he was really disgruntled after losing re-election as the treasurer of the Bath Township School Board, and he, in the end, murdered his wife in their farmhouse, and then detonated a bomb at the school. That again resulted in the death of all the children. So after he killed his wife, he set off a bomb at his own home to kind of pull all the town folk to his house. And he had killed his wife a few days earlier, but anyways, he set off the bomb at the home, and about the same time he had arranged some timed explosions at the school building, and the materials in the north side of the building, they went off as planned and killed many students and some adults inside. He had set another detonator, took dynamite, several hundred pounds actually, at the school, which he had planted. The second 500 pounds of explosives on the south side of the building did not detonate, so the school was only partially destroyed. But if it had detonated, it would have killed even more people, no doubt about it. So his failure on that aspect was saved a lot of lives. So basically, as rescuers, the town folks, as they arrived at the school, Kehoe had driven up in his truck and stopped, and during a struggle with the superintendent, Kehoe had detonated another bomb inside his truck. This is more of a shrapnel-filled one, and it killed himself, the superintendent, as well as killing and injuring several others, including one boy who had survived the school explosion. So the young man was unable to escape death that day. So after the bombings, and you can find a lot of YouTube videos on this telling you a little bit more about the history. I'm just trying to summarize it as quick as I can, but there's a lot of great documentaries on the Bath School massacre, and I suggest you check those out. Still go into a lot more detail about the places, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how, that I'm going over. But anyways, like I said, he was just upset. He was mad over taxes, over the school election, a whole lot of different things. And he just wanted to get revenge on the town. And what better way to get revenge on the town is than to kill their children. And that's what he did. So he was, you got to bury, unfortunately, you got to bury bodies. Unburied body brings disease and everything else. So he had to get buried, and he's buried here in this cemetery here, all the way in the corner. Actually, at the time, it's probably about as far away as they could put him from the rest of the folks here in this very large cemetery. One of Kehoe's sisters claims his remains are arranged for burial without a ceremony in an unmarked grave here in the cemetery. His wife's family, Nellie, I didn't mention that earlier, her name was Nellie. She's buried in Lansing under her maiden name. Not given the burial at, just bury him, get him out of sight, out of mind, and forget about him. And that's what the town did. Then over the course of the week, they buried all the other victims. And I'm going to find a link. I'm going to throw a link in the Find a Grave section down here. And there's a link to all the children that were buried, or all the children that were killed in the explosion. It'd be a neat video. I might do a video on that in the future, just honoring each of the children here. But that'd be another day. So as we enter the corner of the cemetery here, like I said, his grave is unmarked, but it's basically down here in the corner. And we'll head down there real quick to look at everything. Fortunately, my gimbal died, so we're going to have to do this handheld. So he is buried, like I said, unmarked, down here in the corner someplace. We'll just do a quick walk around. Like I said, there's nothing to see here, just roughly where he's buried. We're going to assume, right in this general area here, or the corner, as I swing back around, we're going to assume someplace right in here. Like I said, unmarked grave, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here dwelling on it. We'll walk back though. So yeah, his wife, as I mentioned, is buried elsewhere under her maiden name. She was the first victim of this man. Then all the other children and some of the rescuers that came later. There are several memorials here in and around Bath Township for the honoring the victims. At the time, it was obviously one of the worst. I don't want to call it a school shooting, but death of kids in a school setting over a guy that just didn't want to pay his taxes and didn't like losing. He had no children of his own, so talking a little bit more about Kehoe, though, he was, obviously when they were investigating it, they did determine, his neighbors all said he was a pretty highly intelligent man. He did grow quite a bit angry rather quickly when he disagreed with people on issues, wherever it may be. He was always a well-dressed, neat man, that's what they say. Everything was always pressed, shirts were always pressed and whatnot. So, they always said he was always very well kept and neat, kept a tidy home. They also said, though, however, he was incredibly cruel to his animals that he kept. Beat a horse to death, they said, and so obviously he had some, some mental issues. Obviously, you're going to kill children, you're going to have mental issues, but like I said, highly intelligent man, but he did have obviously some anger issues. They were all ages. I said his wife before, but he had, kids as young as, 7 or so, all the way up through 6th grade, which I think puts you around 12 or 13 years old. Obviously, the teacher, the superintendent were killed later. The truck bomb that he set off, it killed himself. He killed a 2nd grader that had survived the initial bombing. The superintendent, and then 2 other rescuers that were there. So he clearly wasn't done. But again, if there's anything fortunate, is the second bomb didn't go off. Otherwise, that number clearly would have been double the death toll. So, pretty sad event. But like I said, he's got more than he deserves. Probably buried in the corner of the cemetery. But there's a lot of victims out there, and a sad story. All right, guys. That's all for now. I've rambled on long enough. Thanks.